A Star Trek icon, the guys who played Batman and Joker, and one of the world's biggest superstars. They're all larger-than-life actors who have spent the majority of their lives in front of film and TV cameras, but even they can have an on-set meltdown. Our journey through these acting breakdowns begins around 1970, in which we find the earliest recorded instance of an actor losing their cool and storming off set. And what better person to usher such a trend forward than Orson Welles? The lauded Shakespearean actor and creator of Citizen Kane is widely considered to be one of the greatest American filmmakers of all time, and possibly one of the greatest actors, period. And yes, his final role was infamously as Unicron in Transformers the movie in 1986.
You underestimate me, Galvatron.
If cinephiles are shocked that such a revered performer spent his final run as an actor voicing a villain in a children's cartoon, would wager that Transformers was far from the project he most regrets lending his voice to. Welles often lent his recognizable baritone to commercials, but when Swedish frozen food brand Findus hired him to narrate a trilogy of ads, it was a step too far. According to his Merchant of Venice co-star Jonathan Lynn, Welles was put off before recording began because the ad company asked him to audition. After allegedly leading them on a literal chase across Europe, he finally got in the booth to record, only to find the scripts were an affront to his artistic taste.
Come on, fellas, you're losing your heads. I wouldn't direct any living actor like this in Shakespeare.
He spitefully bickered with directors over word choice and emphasis before storming out entirely. At some point in the 90s or early 2000s, William Shatner was asked to record narration for a radio commercial, in which he would play himself, inviting the listener to step into the 21st century with him. After an initial take, the engineer on tape chimes in to ask him for more excitement in the beginning. Strangely, the note itself elicits a foreboding laugh from the actor, with the mood only getting more uncomfortable as the tape rolls.
No, I am going to do it the way you want. Every paragraph.
Shatner tries another, more excited take that sounds at least half sarcastic, with him speaking unnaturally fast with a superficially sentimental tone. When the engineer starts to speak again, Shatner antagonizes him and asks him to model how he'd like the line to sound. When the engineer obliges after some pressure, Shatner proceeds to mock him during the next take. Though he's unsure how, the engineer is clearly aware he overstepped, but Shatner sounds like he's having too much fun toying with him.
As long as I'm pleasing you, that's all that matters.
He ultimately ends up begging Shatner not to make him read more lines and apologizes for offering a note, but Shatner refuses to let up or continue the session as normal. Perhaps the most well-known entry on this list, Christian Bale's regrettable Terminator Salvation outburst, is sure to remain in the annals of entertainment history. In the infamous leaked audio clip, the recent star of The Dark Knight can be heard shouting down director of photography Shane Hulbert after he entered Bale's line of sight during a scene. Though director Mick G and an associate producer rush in to calm him down, their attempts are in vain. Screaming for almost 4 straight minutes, he berates Hulbert for what he feels is unprofessionalism, questions his ability to work with actors, and insists that he won't return to set until the offender is fired. And it was all because seeing a non-Terminator checking the lights pulled him out of character.
Why the f*** are you walking right through? Da-da-da-da like this in the background. What the f*** is it with you?
When the audio eventually leaked ahead of the film's release, Bale claimed his inexcusable behavior was on account of the fact that he was too deep in character. He said in an interview with the Los Angeles radio station K-Rock, "I'm half John Connor, I'm half Christian there." Bale also apologized at length for the tirade. He insisted that he and Hulbert reconciled shortly after the outburst and that he was never serious about wanting him fired. Bale also described himself as hurt that the audio would lead people to believe he thought he was better than anyone else on set. To him, that intensity came from a place of caring, perhaps too much, about making the film as good as possible. In 2017, Mel B stormed off the set of America's Got Talent after Simon Cowell made an ill-timed joke about her marriage. After one of the contestants' magic tricks went terribly wrong, Cowell cracked a joke.
"I'm kind of imagining this would be like Mel B's wedding night."
The former Spice Girl had been going through a very public divorce from Stefan Belafonte. Mel B rose from her chair, uncovered her drink, and doused Cowell with ice water before walking away. In interviews after the episode, her co-host seemed relatively unbothered by the incident, with Heidi Klum saying that all had to douse Cowell for crossing a line in the past. Mel B even downplayed it herself, telling the Associated Press, "He just said something annoying, so I threw water on him. Simple as that." Sometimes on-set freakouts are staged for a prank. Indeed, actors of every caliber and genre have played this game at some point, including Joaquin Phoenix. We know this isn't a genuine on-set meltdown, but just for fun, we're including it anyway. The moment occurred when Phoenix appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote the 2019 thriller Joker. During the appearance, Kimmel confronted the actor with behind-the-scenes footage of him losing his temper on the set of the film. In the footage, Phoenix gets frustrated at cinematographer Lawrence Sher for whispering while he was trying to prepare for a particularly tense scene.
It's not a big deal. Yeah, it kind of is.
From there, he curses Sher out. The whole thing made for a hilarious joke for Kimmel's show. It wouldn't be a piece about Hollywood meltdowns if there wasn't some mention of director David O. Russell and his alleged repeated abusive treatment of his peers on and off set. On the set of the 1999 black comedy Three Kings, he came to physical blows with actor George Clooney after the former reportedly became fed up with his treatment of a crew member and his genuinely abrasive directing style. Lily Tomlin, who starred in Russell's 2004 comedy I Heart Huckabees, was also driven to her own on-set breakdown due to the director's intolerable behavior. In leaked footage from the 2004 film, Tomlin becomes increasingly frustrated by Russell's constant tweaking of a scene, so much so that she feels she can't keep up with his demands. Russell ultimately responded by violently sweeping props off a desk and hurling sexist slurs at her in a fit of rage. Tom Cruise needs no introduction as an actor. The Academy Award nominee's intense love for the art of filmmaking usually translates to fully committed performances and death-defying stunts. But like Christian Bale and David O. Russell, that intense passion has spun out of control on at least one occasion, though Cruise may have been slightly justified in this case. While filming Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning directly after the COVID-19 pandemic dealt a blow to the film industry, Cruise was caught on tape shouting at crew members for violating COVID guidelines put in place by the studio. Cruise told Empire magazine that he pulled a group of offenders aside and warned them that they would be fired if they continued to violate the restrictions that allowed them to keep working during the pandemic. It's clear that Cruise felt a tremendous amount of pressure to keep the film from being shut down, both to prevent further delays and to prove to every other studio that the industry could survive the pandemic. The actor has since stood by his comments, as they conveyed the magnitude of the responsibility everyone on set had. Even the most civilized of Jedi have their breaking point. Star Wars actor Ewan McGregor found his while attempting to shoot a scene for the Netflix series Holston in Central Park. This New York City cultural hub already presents enough environmental challenges, from uncontrollable weather and noise levels to its proximity to the general public. As such, it's likely the team was already fighting an uphill battle that day and was just hoping to get the shots it needed as quickly and cleanly as possible. Unfortunately, the cast and crew reached a tiny bump in the road when a photographer discovered their location and tried to get a closer look at the set. New York-based photojournalist Steve Sands was apparently trying to engage McGregor between takes of a scene. But when he said something to the actor as he was walking in the photographer's direction, McGregor tore into Sands. The actor used an expletive to demand that Sands stop talking to him. The moment's audio was recorded and circulated through tabloids at the time, including The Sun. Though Sands confirmed the interaction did occur, he seemingly took responsibility for it and told The Sun he holds nothing against the actor. Rightly or wrongly, Lindsay Lohan has quite the divisive reputation in Hollywood. In fact, it's likely her brief altercation on the set of the low-budget 2013 thriller The Canyons doesn't rank among the most outrageous stories you've heard about her, if you ever knew about it at all.
You know, I guess maybe it's just not my thing anymore.
But even if it may have gotten lost during one of Lohan's career valleys, it's still a peak among on-set skirmishes that's hard to actually believe in the first place. In an audio recording, Lohan becomes frustrated with director Paul Schrader after being asked to rehearse a scene in which he has no lines. Apparently perplexed by the idea of having to silently participate, her confusion quickly turns to anger, which he then takes out on co-star James Dean. But before Dean can even say or do anything, Lohan snaps at him. The actor uses an expletive while telling Dean to do his job. In a later interview with TMZ regarding the incident, Dean didn't seem to have taken anything she said to heart. In fact, he thought the whole ordeal was just an amusing behind-the-scenes moment. When Fox was looking for an actor to succeed Mel Gibson in their television adaptation of Lethal Weapon, they likely hoped whoever they chose wouldn't emulate Gibson's controversial side. Unfortunately for them, that wound up being exactly the case. Clayne Crawford was ultimately chosen for the role. And as he said on a podcast, his relationship with the series and his co-star Damon Wayans was strained from the start. Crawford admitted that neither he nor Wayans was enthusiastic about leading the project. He even said he almost quit after the first season. in part due to Wayans being difficult to work with. During production, however, Crawford lost his temper after a long day of shooting and was caught on tape screaming at an assistant director. Crawford wanted the assistant director to get a group of nearby children to stop making noise during a take. In the aftermath of the outburst, Crawford said he was asked to give up half his salary for the episode and was thereafter warned that the recording could get released and ruin his career. All the while, Crawford's relationship with Wayans continued to sour. Things came to a head when the latter refused to shoot a scene in a church on religious grounds. Crawford called Wayans many insulting names and accused him of only being famous because of his brothers. They allegedly wound up fighting outside Wayans' trailer. A separate incident during an episode Crawford was directing left Wayans with a head wound from shrapnel. Crawford was ultimately fired from Lethal Weapon at the end of season 2.